starter from this morning. You can see the line where it was. It's risen more than doubled. Nice bubbles everywhere. It's a happy little starter. So we're gonna start with making the bread. What we're gonna do is pour 150 grams into our bowl here. Some recipes use 100, some recipes use 50. I can hear my kids hollering and fighting in the background, but it wouldn't be cooking if there wasn't someone fighting. That's exactly what it's got to be, is we've got to fight.
Mom, what's that?
Summer cannot end fast enough.
What was that?
This is sourdough starter, sweetheart.
Ooh. Are you making more of the brownies?
No, I'm not making more of the brownies.
You gonna make another sourdough bread?
I'm gonna make some sourdough bread, yes.
Cool.
You wanna help?
Sure.
Okay, go wash your hands.
Actually, I'm gonna go color.
Oh, okay, good idea. Color instead. So I still have a bunch left. This, because I'm not gonna bake tomorrow, I'm gonna go put this back in my fridge to keep it happy, I guess. And so, got 150 grams of starter. I'm gonna do 300 grams of warm water. And this is just warm tap water. Oops, I did too much. So there's 320, which means after I have it rest for an hour, I will be adding 30 grams of water to it. I could do a total of 350 grams of water. So now that I've got water in here with my starter, I'm just gonna take my whisk and get it all mixed together. That way it's not lumpy, it's all happy. Someone has to be happy today. Kids have tent in the living room, but they're still not happy. So it's nice and foamy right now, which is fine. It's not bad that it's foamy. And then I can go in with my hands, and I usually do at this point just to make sure that all of the starter is kind of broken down. And then I can continue to break it down with my hands if there's any stuck to the bottom or I feel any big lumps, which I don't really feel any big lumps. So we will add our flour now. Now, a lot of people use bread flour, unbleached flour. I'm just using all-purpose white flour, bleached flour, I guess. I measured this out to 500 grams. We're just gonna get it all in. And then, I don't like stuff stuck to my fingers, we're gonna use our spatula. We're just gonna get it all mixed to a shaggy consistency. That's what I've read the term is. I am looking to not have any dry flour. So, it may take a little bit of strength and extra effort, but that would be the main goal, is just to not have any dry flour. If it gets too hard, you can go in with your hands and massage it in, mix it in, whatever wording you want. Get this off of spatula. Stuff that's on the spatula is wetter. Okay. We're just gonna go in and mix it because it's getting too hard. So it is kind of like we're kneading it, but we're not kneading it to build gluten, just kneading it to get it all mixed, to get the flour all wet, no dry flour. And then we'll let it sit here and rest for 30 minutes to an hour. Now, I haven't added salt at this point, and I won't until it's rested for a bit. I don't remember the science terms with it or anything like that, but I find my bread just tastes better if I wait, and the dough is just a little bit easier to work with if I wait at 30 minutes to an hour. And then sometimes you forget and it's longer. Let's see, it's not horribly sticky right now because it's not got a whole lot of water in it, but it's enough that the flour is all moist. And so that's what it looks like right now. And we don't want it to dry out. And so you can put plastic wrap over it, some kind of a cover. I use the shower caps that I used to use when I dyed my hair because it works great, keeps bugs out, keeps the moisture in there. And we'll be back in around an hour. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes, 20-30 minutes. I have an appointment, so I can't wait too long. But that's what it looks like. Now I'm going to do 30 grams of water. And this is the part where I will be adding the salt. So I'm going to dissolve 10 grams of salt into the water as best I can. It's not super hot water. There we go, 10. Okay. Now I've tried doing it to where I add all of the water and all of the flour, and then after waiting, I sprinkle the salt on top. It gives it kind of a grainy texture and layers it out. It's really hard to work all of the salt into it. So I found that kind of mixing it with the water and trying to dissolve it as best as possible really helps. And then this next part's going to get kind of on the messy side of things, because I'm going to pour this in, and then I'm going to use my fist and kind of knead the dough to get all of the water and salt incorporated. Seems like it takes the longest to do, and I get stuff all over my hands. But the results have been great. So there's that. And kind of knead it in. I don't know if you can see that, and my hands are wet. They're gonna get kind of sticky. The dough already feels pretty soft from just letting it sit there and rest. I'm not looking for total and complete smooth, just because we're gonna do a bunch of stretches and folds, which will help the dough work better. So again, we're not trying to build gluten at this point. I don't think it's trying to build gluten. I just know you follow the instructions and they say not to overwork the dough. I've also done this recipe in my KitchenAid mixer, and I really liked doing it in the KitchenAid mixer because then I didn't get my hands messy. I let the mixer do the work because I have the dough hook on it. And then I kept reading a whole bunch of things on my group that I'm with. And a lot of people had their KitchenAids burn out by making the dough, and I'm nervous on it because I cannot afford another mixer, and I love my mixer. It's right there. It's purple. It's beautiful. I love my mixer. So the last month, say, I have just been mixing it by hand. So as you can see, some of it it's in layers, and I'm just gonna keep punching it down until it all comes together. It's not as liquidy, like the water's not all over the place anymore. It's definitely getting sticky because I'm getting more of the dough on my hand, but it is feeling really good. You just kind of squish it and that'll be good. Still kind of a little bit on the shaggy side, but it's also a lot softer. You can see that there's more moisture into it now that we added that extra water and the salt. And so now I will just come back in 30 minutes and do some stretches and folds. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. We're gonna do some stretches and folds. Wash my hands. Instead of drying my hands, I'm gonna leave them wet because that makes it easier to stretch the dough. So you just stretch.
Can you go get the rabbit cage from outside? No.
I'm gonna stretch it.
Go get the cage from outside. You do it. I can take care of it.
You can feel the dough getting tighter by doing the stretches and folds. Helps to make some really good strands. So just 4 stretches and fold them back in, and then let it rest for 30 more minutes. Okay, so it's been longer than the 30 minutes for my second set of stretch and folds. That's what dough looks like. Sometimes you get busy and you don't get to do it right when timer's up, and you know what? That's okay. It still works out. That's actually almost ready to do the bulk ferment. Because it's not really breaking and it stretches really smoothly. Feels nice and silky. Again, I wet my hands with some water before I did this just so it doesn't stick as bad. Still kind of sticks, but it's not really sticky dough. Like it is, but it's not wet sticky. So we're gonna let this just sit here and rest until it's doubled, and then we'll shape it. Okay, it's been about 6 hours roughly, 6-7 hours, and it's been fermenting on the stove or on the counter. Kind of jiggles. It's not too sticky, like it can stick to my finger but not bad. So it's time to shape it. See all the nice strands it's developed. And most of the bowl is clean. It's good dough.
Look, I have a bag, Mom.
Slowly stretch it.
We're making a
Try
video.
to stretch it as thin as we can
Mom, are you making a video again?
while attempting to get kids to go to bed.
And you to go to bed.
I would love to go to bed. I can't go to bed until I do this. And you were in bed. I can never get my dough to be really, really thin when I stretch it out. But it's all gonna get rolled up into a shape, so I figure it's okay.
Stupid little ball.
Go to bed.
Yeah, but I'm gonna see the video with you.
And that would be the kids playing on the Echo Dots.
Down. Wait, did they just say
School
dough?
Started yet?
Wait, did they just say dough?
I don't know what they said. They shouldn't be saying stuff on it, and they should be going to bed.
I told Amanda.
So there we go. I think it's as good as I'm going to stretch it. So now do our coil fold.
Mm.
We fold it kind of like an envelope, and then we roll it up
That's my taco.
just like that.
That's my taco.
Just slowly tuck the sides in.
My taco. That's mine.
Bring it towards
My
us. Now,
Mine,
some
not
people,
yours.
Emma, go to bed. Some people will put flour on the counter. Some people don't. Sometimes I do. It depends on how sticky the dough is getting. And then normally I would put it in a proofing basket. Like if I was going to do a round one, it'd be this, or I've done it in these before. Sometimes I'm lazy. And instead, I just butter my bread pan. Just stick it in there and let it rise again. And I've not had a problem with it sticking in the pan or not turning out into a good shape. Usually works out. So I'm going to leave this like this. I'm going to put the shower cap back on top of it. Because it's late at night and I don't want to sit here and wait for it to rise all the way. To be able to bake it, I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator, which is also called cold retard, I think it is. It's going to allow it to ferment, but slower and hopefully develop a more sour flavor. But we'll do that and then I'll bring it out tomorrow, score it, and bake it. Okay, next morning, oven has preheated to 400 degrees. I just got this out of the fridge. Didn't rise a whole lot, but it could be from me rushing it. So I'm just gonna take my razor here and I'm gonna score it. And usually I end up getting like a huge ear on these loaves. They also burst at the side, so we'll see what we get. Let's try and get it a good score. Go like all the way down the edge. Because I'm doing this in a loaf pan and not in a Dutch oven like I would my round ones, it's not going to create its own steam like the Dutch oven would. So I'm just going to take a second loaf pan and put it in the oven just like this. I do have a baking sheet in the oven that's been in there while it was preheating so that it keeps a steamy environment to help it raise. And I'm going to cook this with the lid on for 30 minutes. Then I'll take it off and take a look and see what it looks like. After that, I'll leave the lid off and let it cook for about another 30 minutes depending on how brown it gets. And then we'll take the temperature. So, be back.
Okay.
I can't hold on to the phone and take the top off, but this is what it looks like at the 30-minute mark. We'll go ahead and set the timer for 30 minutes and check the temperature. Okay, timer went off. It's been 30 more minutes since I took the top off. I'm going to take the temperature. The goal would be to get it over 200. Ooh, and you can see it's nice and brown. I'm gonna just stick it in that little bit of an opening. And we're at about 180. So we can let it go for a few more minutes. Do about 15 more minutes. And so it browns even. We're gonna go ahead and turn it. And yay, it didn't split at the side this time. So we're gonna add 15 minutes to it and check the temperature and time goes off. Okay, 15 more minutes went by. I pulled it out. It's got a nice brown color to it. The temperature had read over 200. So it's still hot, so it'll keep cooking, residual heat. Figure it's over 200, that should be perfect. So all I'm gonna do now is take it out of the pan and put it on the cooling rack because we want it to cool. I don't know if I can get it out. Let's see if I can position the camera. Just a minute. As I buttered it, it just looks out nice. The bottom does not look burnt. It's got a nice crust on it. Just has to rest for a couple of hours. Then we'll cut it open and see what the inside looks like.
It's okay.